Hi guys,
Okay.
we're live now. I'm Ryan Hartwig. This is Maryam Henein. We're live talking about election results. So here we go.
Okay, here we go. So I'm here with the Facebook whistleblower, and we're on your channel, Ryan, since my main channel got deleted. And you've been doing some excellent work, boots on the ground in Arizona. Let me just preface that when I spoke to you last week, because now I'm back in California, that I had made a call to Arizona Secretary of State and Maricopa County, and I was told, why are you calling the government? They're not going to admit to any wrongdoing, but at the same time, I can get them on record ostensibly lying. So last week they told me that last week 475,000 votes had not been counted. 275,000 of those votes were in Maricopa. They told me on record there is no validity to Sharpie Gate, and sent a video which you watched. After that, I saw the actual suit of, I think it's Laura Aguilera, one of the plaintiffs, a law firm out of Illinois that's representing lots of different suits having to do with election fraud. If you're just watching television, the MSM is telling you that there's no funny business going on, but you can enlighten us. So tell me, since then, we've had several recounts and Trump keeps going up. So can you fill me in onto the work you've been doing in the Stop the Steal protests?
Yeah, so I was at a rally in Phoenix, Arizona here on Friday. I live in Phoenix. So it was outside the Maricopa County tabulation and election office, and they have a fancy acronym for that. So basically it's near, oops, sorry about that. I hit my desk. So basically it's out, that wasn't an earthquake. I do not live in California. So yeah, I don't live in, how do you call it? Chinafornia? Chinafornia. So yeah, anyways, I was at the rally on Friday at the Maricopa County Election Center. There was probably a couple thousand people there, and I met Dr. Courtney Williams. I met a few other people. I met a guy named
Who's that for people who don't
yeah,
know?
Dr. Courtney Williams. He's the megaphone Marine. So he was at a protest in against COVID in May in Sacramento, and
Okay.
he kind of went viral with that video. So he has, his website is 1776foreverfree.com. He's a great activist, and so he was there at the rally, and I met someone else who was actually helping get affidavits for the Sharpie fraud thing. So and the next day on Saturday we gathered hundreds, if not thousands, of more affidavits of people who witnessed fraud.
Wow.
For Sharpie Gate, and so. Yeah, we had a lot of activity in Arizona over the weekend. Of course, our Democrat Secretary of State is saying there's no validity at all to these claims, as you know, because you called in their office, I believe, on Friday or Thursday or Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So her argument was that I think she said that it's not over the way, if there was bleed through, it wouldn't go through to the right corresponding part on the other side of the ballot, so it wouldn't affect it. But the argument I'm seeing right now, because there was just a declaration today from Chairwoman Kelly Ward of the GOP in Arizona, because the Trump campaign filed a lawsuit. So just so we're on the same page. So yeah, today the Trump campaign, or over the weekend, the Trump campaign filed a lawsuit, and so the chair of the Republican Party gave a statement today saying, sorry about that, saying essentially that this election is far from over. We had a lot of complaints from voters that the poll workers did not properly operate the new voting machines in Maricopa County, which, by the way, has like about 4 to 5 million people. So
yeah, it's the biggest county.
Yeah, you got Phoenix there. You got lots of other cities here: Mesa, Chandler, Scottsdale. So what happened was they're saying that the poll workers did not properly operate the new voting machines in Maricopa County, and that they instructed voters to press a green button to override any errors if the machine did not accept the ballot. As a result, voting machines As a result, voting machines disqualified votes cast by voters in person on election day in Arizona's most populous county. And so this lawsuit is asking for the manual inspection of overvoted ballots that were cast in person. So the argument is that the Sharpie marker maybe is not as big of a role right now with this, but possibly cause overvotes.
Okay, if I can just clarify. One, there's people like this Aguilera woman who is a voter who's filed a suit, and I'm sure maybe there's other plaintiffs. But then there's Team Trump that's also filed their own suits. From my understanding, with Sharpie Gate, there's a bleed through. And this woman Aguilera, for instance, her ballot becomes void and null, is useless, and she asked for another ballot, and they denied her.
So that's your understanding of that lawsuit, of the lawsuit?
Yes.
Aguilera. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really go into detail much on that lawsuit. We also know. Okay, so there's a couple things going on. So there's that statement about the green buttons, which is new to me. How they're having people push the green buttons. That's kind of funny because it's not. And there's actually a website on the statement from the Maricopa County chair. There's a statement. She references a website, don'ttouchthegreenbutton.com. So if you go to don'ttouchthegreenbutton.com, it shows what's going on. But also on Friday, I met with Congressman Paul Gosar, who's leading this fight. And he was saying that the voting machines we have in Maricopa County are only in Maricopa County and parts of Arizona, I believe, and also in Clark County, Nevada. But those same machines were decertified in Texas. So Texas didn't want to touch these machines. So can
you go over what's with the green button? Don't touch the green button.
So if you want, I can share my screen real quick. Let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah. I'm all into details.
Yeah.
Nobody else is paying attention to the details. Okay, great.
Okay, so basically, let me zoom this in. I don't know if you guys can see that. So this site is for voters in Maricopa County to submit sworn declarations about in-person voting on November 3rd, and they may be using litigation. Okay, in Maricopa County polling places, there are tabulation machines for scanning ballots and counting votes. A picture of the top of a tabulation machine is below. Did you watch as your ballot was fed into a tabulation machine? So this is Dominion voting, and we all know about Dominion by now, right?
I would hope so, unless you're watching the MSM.
So did you watch as your? So I'm going to say yes, I did watch. Okay. When your ballot was fed through the tabulation machine, did someone push the green button? And then I'll say yes. A poll worker told me to press the button, so I pressed the button. Okay, let's just say that. And then if the green button was pressed, did you know at the time that pressing the button would result in at least one of your votes being disregarded?
Mm-hmm.
No. Did you intentionally vote for too many candidates for any office in the 2020 general election? For example, voting for both President Trump and Joe Biden would be a vote for too many presidents. Did I do that? I don't know. Did I do that intentionally, Maryam? What should I answer on this one?
No. Let's see.
I don't think I'm. Yeah, I'll say no on that one. Did you see a poll worker press the green button for any other voter? Yes, and the poll worker did not explain to the voter. Whoops.
Little green elf.
At which address are you registered to vote? This information will be used to confirm your identity. Blah blah blah. Okay.
Okay.
So, anyways, this is just a document way for the Republican Party and the GOP to document any issues with the green button. But once again, that's a picture of that voting machine. So they're claiming, the claim right now, what they think happened is that poll workers were telling, this is the statement from Kelly Ward. So the poll workers instructed voters to press a green button to override any errors if the machine didn't accept their ballot. As a result, voting machines disqualified votes cast by voters in person on election day in Arizona's most populous county. The suit asked for the manual inspection of overvoted. So if you press that green button, you were thinking you were just overriding the overvoted ballots, but I guess that's not the case. What does that say? What does that button say? Call?
Does it say what?
I can't read it. It's too blurry. Anyways, pushing the green button is bad, I guess. Is what
Where usually green buttons are good, red is bad, right?
yeah.
Green is go, red is stop.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And then and then there's a couple other things that I wanted to discuss. So there's something called just while we're talking about voter fraud, what is this called? Let me look at that's something else, voter fraud. Okay, it's called Benford's Law. So let's look at this link here. So it's a law of statistics that they use to identify fraud. So this is how forensic accountants use Benford's Law to detect fraud. So let's just watch this short little video for fun, and then we can talk more about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. Is there sound?
Oh, can you hear the sound? It should be playing. I don't know if people in the chat can you guys hear the sound from that video? All right, so I'll just scroll through this video. So it's showing. So if we just Google like Benford's Law, and let me get rid of my.
Yeah, I can't hear anything personally. I don't know if anyone responded. While you look at that, CNN arguably removed their poller count, and CNN uncounted Biden as the winner, correct? As in Arizona.
Yeah, I heard about that. So did CNN ever officially declare Arizona as for Biden? That's my question. Because if they
let's because I've been watching CNN all weekend, which is part of the reason I was nauseous and sad, is because they were definitely showing him in Biden in leading, and with every recount at the end of the night, it's shrank, and now I don't know if Donald Trump is in the lead.
Okay. Yeah. Let me look at let's see, one of these websites here. Okay. So yeah, that's a good question, guys. Let's try to find out. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's look at some of the results. So let's look at a couple maps here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let's make it bigger. Hang on. How do I make that? Give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm just gonna. This is the map. All right, so let's look at this other map. Let's go to CNN or ABC News or CBS. Let's go to CBS. All right, so guys, let's look at this map. So let's just for fun real quick. So this is the electoral map. All right, so this is so if you look at some of these things here. Whoops, sorry. All right, sorry guys, I'm just kind of winging it here with this. All right, so let's look at this map. So right now, if we play around with this, right now it's showing, right now they're calling Arizona for Biden, or they uncalled Biden for Arizona. But here we have Michigan, Pennsylvania. All right, so they're doing recounts in Pennsylvania, Georgia. So right now, I think this is where it stands right now. I think they called these states for Biden, so they're saying it's a landslide for Biden, but there's pending lawsuits in these states. So if we were to change, oh, sorry. All right, so if we were to flip, let's just say Arizona went blue, went red, and Pennsylvania went red, then we'd be at 263, 275, a lot closer. Let's say Georgia went that direction. So Trump would win with that. If he won Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia, he wouldn't even have to worry about Wisconsin or Michigan, and Trump could win it. Conversely, if he got Michigan and then let's say he didn't win Georgia, then he'd still win. But if we take Arizona out of play, if Arizona goes blue, Arizona's 11 votes, so then that would happen. But then if Trump won Wisconsin, it'd be a different story. So basically, all right, here we are. I'm going to add Maryam's back, so we're going to.
Okay, sorry, what happened there?
I don't know what happened. I don't know how why it
Okay,
goes.
so I missed what you were saying because I
Yeah,
got
no,
killed.
I just talked about something else there. I changed topics. So,
Okay.
yeah. So where were we?
Well, you were showing me Benford's law.
Oh yeah. So Benford's law. Um, yeah. So let me just Google that real quick, and then we can show that on the screen. All right. So let's take a look at some of these images. All right. So Benford's law. How are we doing, guys? Is everything going well? It's we're not too anxious about the election results.
So
So
while you're looking for that,
yeah.
because my goal was to interview you. So CNN
Yeah.
uncalled Arizona for Biden. He's down to 279 electoral votes, according to their website.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to know from you, what was the latest count? Are they doing another recount? So Friday we were at 475,000 votes to be counted. Where are we on Monday, the 9th of November?
So there's someone I follow named @GarrettArcher. If you search like ABC 15 Data Guru, let me show you real quick. So this is ABC 15 Data Guru, and so he is basically saying that we might have another dump tonight. The
Okay.
GOP batch coming from Maricopa County. So let's see, an hour ago, let's see here. A lot of conservative counties have posted today, bringing Trump to within 15,000 votes of Biden. So it's narrowing, still narrowing. They still have 18,000 ballots from Pima. So Pima's from southern Arizona, Tucson, which is more liberal. And so that's not good news. But we were hoping for Pinal County to bring us through. Let's look at the breakdown here. Okay.
Okay.
So Mojave County has posted 591 ballots to the presidential contest. Statewide, so 5,000 need curing. That means that once they mailed in their ballot, their signature did not match what the county had on file. So those people have until, I believe, Monday or Tuesday, tomorrow. I think tomorrow is the last day.
Yeah, tomorrow is the last day.
For us to reach out to them and them to call the county. 40,000 provisionally need to be counted, which I think take more time, and then 25,000 regular ballots. So Biden is up by 15,000. So it's getting down to the wire. So it's still going to be really close. It has to be, I think, within 0.1% for it to automatically trigger a recount.
And let's also say that, typically Arizona has been Republican, correct?
Yeah, Arizona is has been a red state. We've had a big demographic shift. So we every year about 100,000 people move into Maricopa County. Can you imagine that? Like every year, 100,000 people move, and a lot of people come from California and from New York because of the lower taxes. So we've had a demographic shift, and the Latino population, a lot of them vote Democrat, but we have a lot of baby boomers or a lot of retirees, like in the Northwest Valley in a place called Sun City West. So a lot of them vote Republican. So yeah, but in the last couple of years, like we elected Kirsten Sinema, a Democrat senator, and then Mark Kelly won the Senate race. So we'll have two come January. We'll have two Democrat leftist senators in from Arizona, which is kind of weird for a red state. So it's been moving that way. I didn't expect it to turn blue this quickly. But yeah, if you look at a map of Arizona, let's pull up a map of Arizona.
And meanwhile, I want to say this for the record, that the Democrats have been pushing for mail-in voting as early as May, if not earlier. How do they know way in the future that the coronavirus is still going to be an issue unless they're using the coronavirus to use mail-in voting to rig? And this is a shit show. This is a shit show.
Right, and so you saw like the people on Saturday when they declared Biden the winner. You saw mobs of people, thousands and thousands of people in the streets celebrating Joe Biden's victory. So apparently the coronavirus is not active. Yeah, it took a time out. Yeah. And
the CNN reporter that I was watching was like, had this very consternated, fake look on his face and said, "Oh, it's this is during a pandemic. I don't like seeing all these people gathering, but at least they're wearing their mask. Whatever, whatever."
Giving them the benefit of the doubt. So here's a map of Arizona. All right,
Okay.
so these are the counties of Arizona. So you have Maricopa, which has about 5 million people. So there's Phoenix, Pinal, Pima. So Pima is the one that has about 15,000 votes left to count, and they're very liberal, very, very leftist. And that's where Mark Kelly lives, and Gabrielle Giffords was the congresswoman from Southern Arizona who got shot back in, I think, 2010. So Mark Kelly's a gun grabber for sure, the senator-elect from Arizona. So Coconino County is more up in the north near Flagstaff, where we actually have snow, is more leftist. On the Native American reservations, Navajo and Apache County, there's large chunks of Native American reservations, and those lean leftist, those lean liberal, Democrat, and then, but yeah, Maricopa County has large swaths of Republican voters. There's large sections of Maricopa County that are very conservative. So yeah, we're waiting on that. So this is, so search Data Guru, ABC15 Data Guru at Garrett_Archer, and he has some great intel on Maricopa County. And so I think, like, I remember I watched the live stream on Friday night, and with Charlie Kirk, and the remaining votes to be counted in Maricopa County, I think Trump needed to win 59% of those. And so yeah, this is, so 4 hours ago, La Paz County tabulated 707 ballots.
What's the nature again of the affidavits that you're getting, that you're reporting on, that you witnessed?
So on Friday and Saturday at this rally, we had a table set up, and people were filling out affidavits saying that the Sharpie markers somehow caused that the votes weren't counted or messed up the votes. And so so basically, all right, so we have a lot of eyewitness accounts, first-person accounts, who say they went to vote. They were told they could not use ballpoint pens. If they had a ballpoint pen in their hand, those were taken out of their hands. And they were forced to use Sharpie markers to fill out their ballots. And then somehow,
and just to say, to me, they told me this in Maricopa County, it was a secure new way to cast a vote with the Sharpie.
Right. So it's a new system. So obviously, with a new system, there's going to be issues. So Congressman Paul Gosar's concern when I spoke to him on Friday was that these new machines were not calibrated the right way, and for that reason, we're maybe rejecting these Sharpies. So we have documented screenshots that in the past, the instructions from the Democrat county recorder, Adrian Fontes, and from azdems.org, this website, that in the past, Sharpie markers were not allowed. The instructions were to not use Sharpie markers, to only use ballpoint pens. So there may be a new system of voting. It may be untried, but much of the concern is with the Sharpies, perhaps, is how the machines were calibrated, and that possibly they were rejecting these ballots that were fed through the machine that had Sharpies that were used, where Sharpie markers were used. So, I mean, but we have, I mean, to say that, what gets me is like, okay, Katie Hobbs is the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Paul Gosar Friday night said, hey, we need to convene an emergency session in the state legislature.
Yeah.
And he was calling on Governor Doug Ducey to do that. And Katie Hobbs attacked Paul Gosar for that, saying we don't need to undermine faith in our public election process. And Katie Hobbs is denying that there's any kind of fraud.
Yeah.
When you have 1,000 people saying the same thing, hey, they forced me to use a Sharpie marker, then my ballot didn't count or didn't go through, then that becomes an issue. And so
it's called gaslighting when you say you're undermining the, like, how dare you question? How about all these people that are saying that their ballot was voided and they asked for another one and they were denied?
Right. And so, and that's something else, because the poll judge should have allowed them to have another ballot. And another issue that was changed that Adrian Fontes, the county recorder, tried to do a couple months back was he wanted to, so normally if you overvote, let's say I fill out my ballot and I put in let's say there's 3 choices for like commissioner, and I choose 4 people instead of 3.
Mm.
Then I overvoted, right? Because I filled out 4 circles.
Mm-hmm.
So normally the process, and that's in the state law, is if that happens, they send me a new ballot, I start over from scratch. But Adrian Fontes was saying he wanted to change the instructions to say, hey, if you do that, if you mess up, just make a correction and circle the ones that you want, and then once it arrives, we'll interpret your little scribbles to how we think you wanted to vote.
Okay.
So the good thing is the state Supreme Court strongly rebuked Adrian Fontes, and then he replied on Facebook publicly saying that's bull crap. But so the state Supreme Court did a good thing in that, because the county recorder cannot just invent new law and change the process.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of irregularities from Adrian Fontes in the 2018 election when they set up emergency voting locations. So yeah, between the Secretary of State and the county recorder, who are both leftists now, who historically have been more right-leaning, we're seeing some voting irregularities, which they deny there's any issues at all. And Paul Gosar has some legitimate concerns. But yeah, if there's no issue, I mean, at the very least, if you're a public official, instead of denying flat out any kind of fraud, at least say, hey, we'll look into this, because there is an active lawsuit, and they are investigating this, and there's more affidavits. So that's the Sharpie thing.
And I find it interesting too that from county to county it differs. There's no universality in one state. So Maricopa is the only one who's doing the Sharpie. And again, people can go on my backup channel if they can find it. And on the record, Secretary of State, Maricopa officials say there's no shenanigans. Everything's on the up and up. It really saddens them that anyone would even question the integrity of the electoral procedures. So who is the person that you suggested I interview? I'd love to interview.
So there's an individual who I was told about on, I believe, Thursday night or Friday. I believe on Friday. So there was a poll observer, and I talked to him on Friday night, and he was a poll observer in Pima County, which is Tucson, so it's a liberal stronghold. And he went into a polling location, and he was wearing like Raider gear, so it kind of looked like Antifa, but he was the only Republican poll observer. And once they found out he was GOP, they're like, oh, well, go stand in the corner over there and watch the process. And then a few minutes later, they're like, actually, just go ahead and like get out of the building. Bye-bye. So yeah, just leave. So he did. And then he saw these people loading up. He saw these vehicles arrive with Massachusetts plates. And they're wearing purple shirts that said Voter Integrity Group. And they were unloading boxes. And they were looking around and like taking pictures of everything, and he got their license plate numbers, and he submitted a report. So he's gonna be submitting an affidavit. But I have a personal experience from Tuesday, because I was at a poll location here in Phoenix, and I was campaigning for Marissa Hamilton for mayor of Phoenix. And I showed up. I was the only person. It was like 9:30 a.m. and there were some poll observers outside, and I talked to them. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm from Oregon. So we had some poll observers from Oregon who were Democrat. And then their supervisor pulled up, and she was like, immediately, she started questioning me, like, so who are you campaigning for? I'm like, I'm campaigning for Marissa Hamilton for mayor. She's like, so are you a Republican? Well, the mayor race is not partisan, I said. So I consider myself more like libertarian. So she's like, so you're a Republican? I'm like, no, I'm like more libertarian. So then she's like, are you a mole? And I'm like what? So like right off the bat, she was super defensive and like wanting to know who the hell I was. And I'm like, that's kind of weird for a neutral poll observer to be that, I guess, suspicious. Like if you're doing everything by the book, why are you worrying about moles or about someone finding you out? And so so that happened. And then a little bit after that, like a few minutes later, a poll worker from inside came out, and I was sitting right next to the 75-foot sign, so you can't campaign within 75 feet of the polling location. And the poll worker was like counting out the 75 feet with his feet, like 1 foot after another. And then he's like, oh, I think this isn't 75 feet. So he took the sign and pushed it farther away, like 20 feet farther. So I had to move, and I was in a less better position strategically. And then so I moved over, and then after that, another poll worker came out and was like chasing some people down who just voted. So she walked beyond the 75-foot marker, and then on the way back, I don't know what she was doing. And then on the way back, I'm like, hey, why did you move the marker? And I'm like, can I take your photo? And this poll worker named Mary, she got in my face. She's like, no, you can't take my picture. If you do that, I'm going to take your camera away. I'm going to call the police on you. And she stepped towards me, and I'm like, whoa, back up. And so
No
that was
social distancing. Is everyone masked during this process?
Yeah, we were all wearing masks, and the worker had a face shield. But yeah, she's trying to take my phone away. I'm like, well, yeah, do that and see what happens. So we kind of got into a little bit of a, raised voices a little bit. But I have to go soon. But I mean, I had that personal experience, and there's some other issues, things that happened over the weekend that I can't talk about. But I did witness some maybe larger fraud.
Some shenanigans?
I had to submit, I had some shenanigans where I had to submit an affidavit, and I've been in contact with some Trump attorneys. So.
Okay, so do you recommend you drop that number for that gentleman in Telegram?
Oh yeah, so yeah, I can get you. You can interview him. He's going to be submitting an affidavit as well.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out to him. I just want to say I think that it's fair to state that because of the extreme hatred towards Orange Man, that it justifies the actions, but that they are not democratic, and that regardless of what side of the aisle, you should want a fair process. Would you agree?
Yeah, we want a fair process, and there's a lot of people who submitted complaints in Arizona about the Sharpies. So hey, if you're a public official, don't immediately discount those those testimonies. Just say, hey, we'll look into it. That's what being a neutral public official means, instead of immediately gaslighting and denying that there's any kind of fraud. And so, I mean, they always tell us to avoid blanket statements, and by saying, if you're saying there's zero evidence, that's a pretty strong statement. But I'm going to get going. Thank you, Maryam, for the interview. We might do another one more in depth.
I definitely want to do another one. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate your intel. Okay, bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Hello. Am I still on? Over and out.